welcome to our LinkedIn Live with my special guest, Gina London. We all love Gina. Gina, we love your tips. I heard so many people saying, they just love your tips. So we are really lucky today that we're going to get some tips all about preparing for that networking event, which some of you probably have put into your diaries for the summer or, over the holidays. So, Gina, first of all, for people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for that, Sam, and welcome to everyone who's here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share with you. I'm the CEO and founder of Language of Leadership Limited. What does that mean? That means that along with my wonderful support team, I have the opportunity of training, speaking, and coaching about how to be more positive connectors, more confident and more comfortable communicators, leaders, human beings by understanding there are best practices around your strategy for preparation, the structure of your oral and written content, and the way you bring yourself through with the words you choose, the voice variety that you can play like an instrument, and the body language that you choose to deploy, not to be fake, to make genuine connections. So that's a bit about the company that I'm so proud to be a part of and the people, honestly, Sam, that I'm privileged to be able to support.
And I know that you were recently in Greece speaking at KPMG, and I've seen you speak all over the world. So this is a world class people in the audience. If you want to say hello and if you want to ask a question, please do in the comments, and I can put it on the screen for Gina to see. So we've gone live to YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So this is another thing, Gina, that you talk about as well. It's how to communicate online as well. But tell us, for people who might have an event coming up, what is the best way to prepare?
Right. Thanks for that. So the focus today is to think about your next in-person, we can talk virtual too, but let's do in-person networking event, whether it's 10 people or 100 people. The first thing that I would encourage each of you to do is to adjust your mindset that you're going to like this, that you're going to meet even one new person. And that if you don't meet even one new person, you're still going to appreciate the experience. So mindset is honestly how we talk to ourselves is something I work a lot with my clients because you're the first person you talk to every morning and the last person you talk to at night. So let's get in the zone deliberately. Okay, now what do we do next? We don't just rock up and look for the first familiar face we see. We ask the organizer if we can, or
Mhm.
perhaps there's been something that's been sent out through an email or how you've been invited to this, to get a list of participants.
Mhm.
Who's coming? What organizations? Is it a networking event within your organization? Well, then get that list of those people in your organization. Go find them on your internal site. Go find them on LinkedIn. Go find them through Google if they're not in your organization. And you don't have to find all 100, but look through the list and pick 3. Make it simple, make it manageable. Pick 3 for a particular reason, not just because you like the sound of their reading of their name, but seriously, is there someone in a division or department that might be interesting? Is there someone in a company that you be interested in exploring? Make some informed decisions and then go reach out to them on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever they're putting out their social media these days. In all seriousness, people are more open to these kinds of connections, I think, than ever before, Sam. So you don't have to just say, hey, I'm going to this event. Say, hey, I'm researching you. I'm looking you up. I'm reaching out because I'm actually going to be at this event. I'd love to make a connection with you. Give a reason why.
Mm.
Don't just make it flat because I think people, especially that are maybe very busy, might not read it the way that you'd like them to. So make it very clear. Hey, I'd love to meet you. We're in the same field, or I'd love to meet you because give a reason. And I think that's the very first thing that anybody can do. And it doesn't matter if you're reaching out to some department head and you're a brand new hire in another organization. You are a human being. And most human beings, if you word it nicely and kindly and a little casually, don't be overly formal, don't be overly casual, but I think humanly word it so that it feels relaxed. It doesn't feel needy or desperate. people are going to be responsive to that. And that's my first step. There you go.
Excellent. And you mentioned, oh, some people might be dreading this event, and it is about mindset. And I know I learned myself, instead of thinking, oh God, to go to a networking event, I change it to, I wonder, who can I help today?
Wow.
That kind of thing. So I know you
That's
talk a lot.
powerful. Really. It's not who's gonna be out there to help me. Is there somebody out there that I can help? That's a great way to flip it on its head. Networking isn't just to build your
Mm,
network, to build you. It's also ways, excuse me, that you could potentially build others. So be open yourself to that. Look
mm,
at that list from that perspective too, especially if you're a senior person. I think it's an important reminder to anyone out there that's an executive that there are people out there who are intimidated by you simply by your title.
yeah.
If you are only talking to the other executives, you're probably missing opportunities to encourage someone else out there. And so, what are networking events for? They're for both reasons. And I think, Sam, you made a very, very good point.
Thank you. So definitely, okay. So sometimes you can't get the list in advance. All right,
Right.
Gina. So some people don't GDPR, all of that. Sometimes they don't give the list in advance. So, have you got another tip for someone that has an event coming up and maybe is a little bit shy and won't know anybody there?
Right. And so this is a nervous thing, and I've done a lot of work on this. That the practical approach to this, as opposed to the theoretically, oh, go up and have your elevator pitch, and nobody wants to hear you
No.
come up in a networking event like a programmed robot with this, here's who I am and what I do, and that value proposition. All those terminology for elevator pitches make people really squeamish, and it's not realistic, and I promise it's not going to make you feel comfortable. So what I would encourage is simply do this. When you come into an event and you don't, first of all, when you come into the event, look smiley, not overly smiley, but don't look down at your feet and rush over to the drink bar or the food table or whatever. Walk in slowly and scan the room with a little bit of a gaze, like you're looking around in confidence and comfort. Seriously, this is going to feel weird, but if you just walk in and look around slowly, as you're looking around, you're also deciding who's the closest group of people. And just before you think yourself out of it, walk over to that group, probably three people that are in that little circle that you think you're never going to be able to permeate, and simply do this. Don't stand outside and wait for them to acknowledge you, because if they're engrossed in conversation, few people, if they're even not purposely, they're probably just not paying attention. Few people are going to open that circle. So you walk to the circle with that smile, with that those shoulders back, and you walk up and try to catch the eyes of the first person that you see and simply say, hi, may I join you?
Yes.
That's it. You don't have to say, hi, I'm Gina. I work at whatever. I've come to this meeting. Hi, may I join you? Say
Mm.
it even as you're walking, like before you stand out there and then start to feel weird that you're not in the circle. Just as you're walking up, you're looking at their eyes and you say, hi, may I join you as you're walking up? I guarantee 99.9% of people out there are going to say, oh, sure.
Yes.
Then you probably want to say, I don't mean to interrupt, continue, please carry on. So that way you're not going, oh, I've just stopped their flow, and they're not feeling, oh, they've stopped our flow. They probably have not, unless they're in a heated discussion or really intense discussion, they probably are welcoming a breather to change the dynamic. Networking conversations can feel stilted pretty quickly. So if you can, hi, then they say, oh, hey, no problem. Come on in and say, I'm Gina. I'm from whatever. Great to be a part of, great to join you. Or what were you talking about? Make it natural is the key. We think
Okay.
sometimes overstructure about this stuff. So then it feels stiff in the real situation. And that makes you talk yourself out of it and not do it.
Yeah, and we've got some comments coming in actually, Gina. I love that. I love, may I join you? It's so simple.
I know, it's so obvious, and then some people would default to, "Can I join you?" And I'm a little stickler for the more polite,
May.
proper grammar of, "May I join you?" But look, "Can I join you?" Is fine too. But "May I join you?" I think is also a little more elegant, male or female, or however you identify as a human. "May I join you?" I think is just
Yeah.
implying politeness, implying positivity through the
Mm,
way that you say it, and your tone of voice too. Projection, a little smile. "May I join you?" Like, I'm expecting you to say yes. Okay.
exactly.
Love that. Invite yourself to the party. Absolutely, Natalie. Thanks for that.
And then we have Michelle, who said she loves the suggestion, researching three attendees in advance. That's a really good tip. Yeah. LinkedIn is great at seeing who signed up. Absolutely. Even this event, you know, and Brent is joining us from Canada. I know he has just joined us from Canada. Thanks, Brent.
Hi, Brent.
Um, so, you know, the that's a really good tip, because there are people that really just don't like networking events, and I think sometimes, you know, it's about us, you know, having a purpose. Why are you going to the event? So would that be something that people need to think about as well?
Sure. The you can have a purpose, or you can also use your experience as part of the purpose. So if you might be required to do it as your company, then maybe you're not necessarily feeling like, "I've got my own identified purpose for it. I have to go there." But if you think about it from the standpoint of, what am I going to learn? Who am I going to meet? That is, there an interesting person that I've not met yet, seriously, on this planet, who is going to be at this event? Maybe it's my own organization, but there might be one person I don't know that much about. Then
Mm,
maybe you're in a room where there's a lot of people you already casually kind of know. Think about how I can get to know something more about that person, and try as much as you can to relax. Everybody, most people can tell you their horror story of when they were the only female walking into a sea of gray suits. That's not my story. That came from someone else years ago, and how she really hated it, or how they didn't know anybody else at all, and they went right over to that drink table, like I mentioned. The first time I went to a networking event for a big speaking, it was all the speakers at a big high profile event. And yes, I was one of the speakers, but I didn't know anybody else. And some of these speakers on the speaker circuit seemed very chummy, like they already knew each other. And I didn't take my own advice. And the first person I saw was the photographer. And I went over and talked to him for a little bit. And then I got my courage and I went over and introduced myself. And people were kind. But
yeah.
we can talk ourselves out of this stuff a lot. So my biggest encouragement can be is take action, get out of your thoughts, open your mouth, practice this stuff. "May I join you? May I join you?" Out loud, even as you're driving or taking the bus or whatever to the event. Maybe not too out loud on the bus, because people will look weirdly at you.
May I join you?
But the muscle memory of some of these phrases is really important, because when you're in your head and you've just intellectually thought about it, and then you get into the actual nervous situation, it doesn't always engage. So muscle memory and exercise it beforehand, so it's more readily able to come out in the actual event.
Excellent. And how do you feel about having business cards?
Oh gosh, that's a great question, because people don't use business cards that much anymore, which is disappointing, because I still have a stack of business cards in my closet from before 2020. QR codes,
Yeah.
people really like. Have a metal business card, or a small business card that has a QR code on it that connects you to their LinkedIn, or connects you to something. If it is a culture that still uses business cards, by all means, I think I'd have them and not need them, as opposed to being asked for one and not have one. So I think as we're in a bit of a transition, it's
Mm,
good to have a couple of options, so that you can not feel like you're the only dinosaur with the card, or conversely, the only person who didn't bring a card, when people are still wanting that tangible, tactile experience of holding a card, which, depending on what part of the world you are in,
mm.
some people are still using those cards, whereas some people are going straight to a click and share.
And one mistake I see people making is, yeah, I actually, Gina, you know the trick with the QR code with LinkedIn. So definitely, folks, if you're watching, if you click search on LinkedIn and then click the QR code, people can scan your QR code. But a little advice there. This is just from me now, not Gina, but like, you know,
No, it's great. This is
if you actually message the person straight afterwards and say it was lovely to meet you, then person later as well. So that's another little tip. And Natalie says she loves the LinkedIn QR code as well. So yeah, so I know that one big mistake people do make, I see, is they just come straight up with their business card. So you would advise against that?
Oh, I wouldn't advise that. Of course, that's the same thing to me, is that overly rehearsed elevator pitch. It feels, unless you're in one of those, this is a networking event for other professionals to meet other professionals. And I mean, it's been structured like that, because sometimes there are, I remember, I'm trying to think of the organization when I lived in the States that was the Small Business Development Organization. And they were really, their culture was encouraging you to come right up with a card and have your elevator pitch. So again, know your audience.
Yep.
And be flexible in the moment. See, this is where you'll be able to take the cue. If you're coming out with your elevator pitch and you're not reading your audience in real time for the reaction, this is that human emotional intelligence part that will serve you. Because when you start to monologue, or you start to grandiose about all the different things that you can do, and you're not asking questions of other people, because you're also not engaged in their eyes, or letting your body language of reading of them inform you that you should make a subtle change, or maybe not so subtle of a change, you could be doing damage to relationships instead of building relationships, which of course is your intent. So active external observer mentality of others, by the way, will also help you feel less self-conscious, because you're more others conscious while you're in that conversation. And that kind of leads me to a little bit of the other part of difficulties with networking events, is once you've introduced yourself to a group, sometimes it can be really difficult to extract yourself from that group or that one other person. And you can feel like, oh no, in that inside your head, you're thinking, I can't get out of this. This is going too long. I'm not even listening to them, what they're saying anymore. And I really need to go meet other people. And oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This is where another simple line, but rehearse it so you've got it in and you're ready to roll when it gets to that point. It's just, it was a real pleasure talking with you. And you need to say that strongly, not meanly, but with the projection. It was really a pleasure speaking with you. And you can let it dangle. They often will fill in. Once I think I had someone say, oh, you got to go work the room. And I said, yep, I know we've got to go meet other people, and not but. And it was such a pleasure getting to know you. And I look forward to keeping in touch. And if you haven't already connected with them on LinkedIn or wherever you're going to follow up, do follow up, because that's the right thing to do. So that's okay to conclude the conversation. And the way to do it, I have found in practicality, is yes, thanks, Alan. You see that, the nailed by a monologuer. It's a tricky situation. So, you're feeling impaled against the wall. But so, pleasure speaking with you. It was a real pleasure speaking with you. And then as you're saying it, you're kind of doing a little bit of body language alongside. We're backing up. Gotta go. It's okay. Don't apologize that you are there to meet other terrific people, just like the one person you were speaking with right now. And that's okay.
I love that. And I love that, Helena. And she says she loves those dulcet tones. There you go. And
Well,
Amanda, and not but, so important.
yeah, but thanks, Amanda. The ability to just these little tricks sometimes to make the person feel that they were included. When you say, it was great talking to you and I need to go meet others, is different than, it was great meeting you, but I got to go, which implies right away I've negated my experience with you and my focus is now somewhere else. When you link it with an and, they've stayed with you, they're still included. And
Mm.
interestingly, most of us, especially native English speakers, somewhere along the line, linking with a but has become our habit more than linking with an and it is a bit of a habit disruption, but it can be done.
Oh wow, that's really good. They're really good tips. And Amanda, thank you so much for your comment as well. There's lots of new people here. By the way, folks, in the chat, do connect with each other. Connect with each other. Go and look at the attendees of this event. Connect with each other as well, because this is like a networking event right here. I can see
Yes.
one of the people in the audience here. And also, I have put into the comment section of this event Gina's language of leadership. Tell me a little bit about the kind of stuff that you teach. I know you've given us great tips there, but tell us more about the kind of stuff that clients come to you with.
Thank you. Yeah, what I did is I created through lockdown when we weren't meeting face to face anymore. I had the privilege of extra time, like many of us did, to get onto a project that you've been thinking about for a while but didn't get a chance to do. So I put together a video library of micro lessons, about 3 minutes long, with an exercise to help reinforce the learning through it. So there's 120 videos designed to take you through a self-guided journey of awareness and application on how we show up. We talk about networking. We talk about presentations. I explore storytelling. I even explore gamification and team building and a little bit of that social media application and our brand outside of those one-on-one meetings. And I'm really proud of it because it's affordable to get into my academic library of videos, and it does help bring you incrementally through your awareness and your application. And again, I'm a practitioner. I love academics and I love theory, and I do tie a lot of my work to that. But the tips and the strategies and the techniques that I give to my clients and you as a client on languageofleadership.org, the platform, the academy, are immediately applicable, whether you're an executive wanting to do that 1% of polish, or you are a brand new student out of college wanting to find that first job and think about how do you bring your best version of you to an interview. I promise you there are real, practical, immediately applicable tools and strategies that you can use right away on that platform. Thanks so much, Sam.
Oh, you're welcome. It's sometimes difficult to do a course or find the time to do a course, whereas your course you can just do whenever you want. Like, and I love that. So definitely do check that out, folks. We have 80 people watching us, Gina. 80 people. Thank you so much. And Helena has said, which I agree with totally, and I think everyone agrees with. Sounds amazing, Gina. I love your style and grace.
Thanks, Helena.
Now, if anyone has a question while we have Gina, quickly. Megan says, love the approach of getting out of your head and the purpose of why you may be attending an event and instead just giving yourself the chance to take interest in the people you're meeting with, no expectations. And, you know, the best opportunities come out of authentic connections. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I've seen Gina at networking events, and I can assure you that everything that she has taught us there, she does with grace. So, yes.
And to that, Sue, I'm sorry to cross over you, but I just want to point out the fact that this doesn't come natural to me.
Mhm.
I grew up with a bit of shyness, believe it or not, and certainly I don't think anybody just automatically loves the idea of going up to a random stranger and thinking, are they going to judge me? Are they senior to me? Are they, do they have better clothes than me? We are in our heads on all sorts of stuff. And I don't think it necessarily changes just because you've got a new title. I found plenty of executives and CEOs who say, I have a real hard time with this. I know my title says I should, but my internal feelings tell me I don't want to. So, if anything I can share is that you are not alone. This
Mhm.
is a very common, and it's not just you do one and then you feel great. You continually have to go through that process to psych yourself into it, to actually go to the event, walk in the door, walk in the room. I mean, each one of these things can be anxiety inducing or triggering. And It happens. It does. So when you have little ways to break it down so that it doesn't seem monumental, if you can reach out to two people in advance, that's great. If you know the organizer and you can't get the whole manifest list, but they can make an informal introduction to you, that's also like a little email. If that person GDPR wise says, sure, introduce me to this new person. That's another thing. When I was brand new to Ireland, I signed up for a networking event and I reached out to the president of the organization. Now I didn't know this person, but I went to the event and said, who's the president? I sent a message to that president and said, hey, you give a hook of why you're coming. And I said, I was interested in your speaker. And she said, oh, I'll connect you with the speaker. So she actually made that introduction beforehand. So when I was going to this event, which had hundreds of people, I didn't know one single soul, but I at least knew the name and a photo of the president and a name and the photo of the keynote speaker. And when that keynote speaker was speaking, by the way, in this big hall, she actually singled me out and mentioned the connection, which made me feel so relaxed.
Yeah.
So you never know if you go, but you know if you don't go, that there's nothing's going to happen. So take those little
Absolutely.
steps.
Yeah, take those opportunities. Kareem says a lot of opportunities absolutely come out of networking. He was also shy in his secondary school days. Attending a training from Gina in Nigeria that changed me a lot. Isn't that lovely? Thank you,
Thank
Kareem.
you. Thank you, Kareem. Some of my most rewarding experiences was when I speak to large groups. And as Kareem was mentioning, I've been to Lagos and other cities in that country a number of times. And let's say, for example, folks, listen to this. There are 10,000 people in a particular event.
Mm.
And I say, and a lot of other people will say this in events or at networkings or things too, please reach out to me. Please ask me a question. Follow me after. Send me your CV. I'm able to have that coffee. Take them at their word if they do that, folks. And then you be the one that follows up, because I can tell you that example of the 10,000 was in 2014. I was speaking at this big event in Lagos, and I said, they were college students at the time, and I said, if you send me your CV, I will connect with you. And guess what? Out of 10,000 people, 3 people sent me their CV. And I don't think it's because they were slackers. I think because we get busy, we forget, we talk ourselves out of it. But I've kept in contact with the people that continue to reach out. And this is, I think, in our grasp. Most of us, I think, talk ourselves out of connections rather than the person that we were looking at is the one that talks us out or talks us away. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
we often are our biggest impediment to our own growth. And it often is right in here and not in reality.
And that's why, if you are shy, and like these tips are really good. I'm just going to repeat some of them. Contact the organizer, get a list of people and pick 3 people, have a reason to go there. Obviously, clear in your head. May I join you? That's the sentence you said that we should use if there's a group of people.
Easy
And
open. That's
and
your
if
easy opener. Yeah.
Hit the opener. And then the other one is if you need to get away from someone. I mean, if you want to leave the
When,
conversation,
when it's time to move
and it's
on.
time to move on. Yes, I like that. It was really a pleasure speaking with you. And instead of but, wasn't it?
Correct.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Dara says, great advice, Gina. Thank you. I have one quick question, though, just in case people are wondering. What if you're going into a networking event and there's someone there that you really don't want to see, maybe someone who doesn't like you or you don't like them or something? What advice would you give there? I know that I go anyway, but I don't feel comfortable. So have you any
Oh
advice?
gosh, this is a very complex question, and the amount of time we have left.
Okay.
First of all, folks, it's situationality. So I'm going to give a couple of answers, knowing that there might be other nuances here, and it's important. You're there for your own reasons.
Mm,
Keep your purpose and your poise in the forefront of your mind.
Yes.
Whoever that person is, I mean, if it's your boss, that's a whole other that's a whole other situation. If it's a competitor, if it's a person that's been a naysayer in the past, you're not required to have a conversation with that person. You probably should not make an obvious avoidance of that person because that's not going to reflect well on you. If
Yes.
you see that person from across the room, you may be poised, polite, and purposefully moving somewhere else.
Yes.
Sam, it's wonderful to see you. Now, the word wonderful, I suppose, is disingenuous, but let's make it human, at least civil. Civility sometimes requires us to be in public what we should be, right? So, Sam, it's wonderful to see you. I'm just going over here. But you don't have to stop. Keep moving. I would give a smile. And if they're from far away, I'd give a smile and a nod, and I keep moving.
Yes, that's what I do.
Or
Yeah.
if there's no choice,
Yeah.
if you're too close, if you're in the circle, they've come and joined you, put your thumb in your palm to keep yourself disrupting any poker face indications that you don't like them, and keep it pleasant, keep it short, and it was a pleasure speaking with you. Move on.
Brilliant, brilliant. We're running out of time, folks. So I know there's a great question here from Natalie. Do you make a conscious decision on what color to wear to a networking event?
I do. Absolutely. That wouldn't necessarily be just the color, but the cut, the culture is going to indicate the time of day is going to indicate, is it an indoor event? Is it an outdoor event? I am always going to be at or just one step above whatever is the attire. So if it's smart casual, I'm going to probably be in more smart and less casual. If it's cocktail, I'm still going to be, for me, I'm still going to be classic. That's
Yes.
I know my brand. If you're an art museum director, then you're going to be reflective of that brand. If you're a rock and roll star, you're going to be reflective of that brand. If you are a young corporate wannabe executive and you rock up in cargo shorts and a wrinkly t-shirt, that's probably not going to be good for progressing your career. If you're in a, think about what the execs of that area are going to wear and
Mm,
reflect yourself on that. Express yourself. Don't blend in so much, but be comfortable, be classy, and have something that you feel good in. I often wear the same couple of dresses to different events with different audiences because I know it's easy. I feel great on it. It drapes on me properly. I feel good. And most important of all, and this is going to be cliche, put that final accessory of a smile and a confident, poised face when you are also attending that event.
absolutely. And I totally agree with you. And I know Helena has one question and then we're going to wrap up. And thank you all so much. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. How do you join a group standing talking? So that would be the may I
May
join
I
you?
join you? You walk right up with not too fast of a pace that makes them startle, and seriously, and not too slow of a pace that gives you time to talk yourself out of it if you don't see them open for you. Most of them will not open for you, those little groups. So walk close enough, and as you're getting really close enough, say, "Hi, may I join you?" That's it. I've never found anything else that works as seamlessly as that. And it seems like it's that obvious thing right beneath our nose, but we don't use it often enough. So try that. I think that will watch that group open, and then you can be in charge of what happens next.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Gina. Gina London. I put up her Twitter account and I've put up the website, so languageofleadership.org. Definitely check that out and follow Gina on Twitter if you're on Twitter or X, or connect here on LinkedIn. And thank you all so much for joining us. And Gina, have a lovely rest of your evening. And everybody, we'll see you again on the next LinkedIn